I'm the CEO of the company Made of Genes. We developed a personal genomics platform that allows you to have your genome sequenced and stored on the cloud. And from there, we enable you to use this genomic information into the first genomics marketplace in the world. So you can enjoy tailored products or personalized medicine from this platform. We can do that through our marketplace, or we can license you in a B2B model, this platform for hospitals, clinics, etc.
Okay, great. And when did you start the company?
So we started the company on 2 years ago.
2 years ago. How many people work at the company now?
Right now, 12 people.
Roughly speaking, how much money have you raised so far?
We raised a bit more than €500,000.
Okay, good. Congratulations, by the way. It's a lot of progress right there. And so you're in a super interesting market. It's obviously very timely, right? Everybody wants to know about genes and genetic therapies and genetic data and stuff like that. So what's your primary challenge right now?
So right now we are in the phase that we released the platform. Yep. So we are already on the market. And our challenge right now is to find nice corporate players or big partners to scale, to start having relevant traction in this market.
Good. So if we remember the J curve, my guess is where you're at right now is, you've taken on a very difficult challenge. You built a product, right? You've released the product, and while you're building the product, intelligently, good for you, you started having conversations with potential partners. Okay, and you've released the product, orders are not flooding in yet, but you're in a business with a very long sales cycle. Mm-hmm. So, by the way, I think, and hats off, B2B businesses are tough. Very long sales cycles, big contracts, often make or break the company, right? And it's hard to get, big contracts mean big companies are buying it. Big companies have long decision cycles and stuff like that. So, somehow, I think my suggestion, you need to get traction from somebody, right? And, the challenge is that, frankly, what you're doing is so interesting and so topical, and everyone feels like they need to know it, and where does the best knowledge come from? You guys, from entrepreneurs who are on the cutting edge. So people sitting around those corporate boardrooms, like they want to be the informed folks around the table. So I'm guessing everyone takes your call. You get lots of interest. Okay. And then you go out and you get excited, right? And then you go there and you have the conversation, and they ask you lots of questions. Yeah. Endlessly, right? Yeah. Question. Yeah. So the challenge is that Oscar is essentially acting like an unpaid consultant, right, to his quote customers. And it's very, very hard to figure out which of those customers are going to actually do anything. So, again, with B2B, the hard part is, where do you get that customer traction from? And the sales cycles are long. So here's some tricks that we figured out, because it's very hard to figure out who just wants to talk and someone, who. Number one, there's two things. Try and figure out which of those customers has an actual problem. Mm-hmm. So a salesman who used to work for me, a wonderful guy, Lance Black, and I used to cringe when he'd say this, but he'd have a big customer. He was selling to enterprise customers, and the first thing he would ask them is, why do you want to talk to me, right? Why are you interested in us? And I used to cringe. I'm like, oh, God, you got a sales call, He was the best salesman by a long shot that I ever hired. He outsold everyone else 4-1. And the reason is because he asked that question because he wanted to know, did they have pain? Because if they don't have pain, they're not going to buy, right? And he wanted someone to say, he didn't want to hear, I'm interested in your product. He'd say, that's nice, I have some junior salesmen over there. He wanted to hear, I got a problem, and this is what it is, and I hear you might be able to solve it. Those people write checks. The other people, they don't. And he would make that distinction super early and just literally toss out the people that don't. And that's the problem. You have limited resources, you have limited time, you need to get going, right? And so that's number one. And the second thing I'd say is, ultimately, people who write checks, people who pay, they're the guys who are really interested, right? So try and find out of all those conversations, go back tomorrow, next week, and try and find out from all those customers, say, listen, we have limited resources here, and we're looking to a pilot project. It's a paid pilot. Don't ever do free pilots. I don't like them because they just suck resources, right? And they're non-committal on the part of the customer. They're just learning from you for free. Get somebody to pay something for your suite of products. And you've developed, I suspect, a fair amount. And I don't care if you cut one of those products up. I don't care if the person is interested in just one aspect. That goes back to my point. On the release, you now have this kind of interesting big product. You need to figure out what someone's actually willing to pay for. And it may be, half of the stuff you develop may not just hold any interest. And that's okay. But the person who pays and the company who pays, those are the ones who I think are going to get you to the next step.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Number one, who's next?